Greetings everybody, it is I am the one and only Tiana here, and I am from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our another The Legend of Zelda Let's Play, because as far as I'm aware, last time we did the Zelda game was actually The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past, where basically Pac-Man did manage to tackle for that game since the very beginning of 2022, but here we are in the forms of the 1st of September, for the sake of the forms of 2022, here we are on the forms of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Originally, this game came out on the Game Boy in 1993, however, the game managed able to get its re-release on the forms of 1998, around the same year as when The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time came out, that they managed able to release the Game Boy Color re-release called The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX. Now, this is the version I'm going to be playing for the sake of this entire playthrough. However, though, that doesn't stop there, because there's also another version of the game by the forms of a remake of any sort, which appears to be, well, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening during the course of the Nintendo Switch in 2019, which I'm about to tackle for that version at some point next year, so that you can definitely know some of the differences from there. So for now on though, we're pretty much gonna have to stick around with the forms of the original version for the time being. So in this case though, once again, much like in several other Game Boy Let's Plays, once again I'm gonna be using the emulator for this playthrough, because originally I was expecting to get the original cartridge version of this game, but turns out though it's pretty expensive though, and also I was a little bit worried if I stumbled across a dead safe battery, which that happened the same thing as whenever I usually had Donkey Kong Land 2 and also Wario Land 3 as well. But for now on though, the emulator as it goes by. So anyway, let's just go ahead and type my name here. So I believe it's going to be likely the 5-letter kind of stuff, unlike 6-letter word from the likes of The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past. So there we go, at least we managed to sign my name here. And of course, just like the forms of how it does in Zelda 1, and especially noticeable in A Link to the Past, we start the game off within 3 hearts. So yeah, let's get the game started here. So I believe once again, much like the forms of A Link to the Past, we start the game off that we ended up in a bed. Huh. What a relief. I thought you'd never wake up. You were tossing and turning. What? Zelda? No, my name's Marin. You must still be feeling a little woozy. You are on Koholint Island. Oh, I see. So yeah, this game does not take place in Hyrule this time around, but rather we ended up on a strange place, which appears to be Koholint Island. So yeah, so it looks like that we can't do anything outside until whenever we talk to this particular old man right here on the right. So yeah, let's just speak to him quickly. Well, Tiana, you're finally snapped out of it. Name's Terran. Okay. Hope you're feeling better. What? How did I know your name? You think it's weird, huh? Well, I saw it on back of this shield. And from here, this is where we receive ourselves the shield from the very get-go. So in this case though, is the fact that we can able to once again defend ourselves. But here's the thing this time around in this game in particular, is the fact that, well, I'll talk more about it whenever we're able to continue for this Let's Play in general. So follow the line south to reach the beach where I found you. Since you're washed ashore, lots of nasty monsters have been in the area, so be careful, okay? So yeah, we must able to actually head back into the beach, the same location as where we actually got knocked out consciously. So as a result though, we can just simply go to the south portion of this entire island, and basically, as I said, we're no longer in Hyrule anymore. Well, at least it wasn't until whenever we get into the next bunch of Zelda Let's Plays for the time. So in this case though, there's nothing we can do out there because those little colored blocks is actually blocking the... What the heck? Is that the chain jump? Huh, interesting. Sort of a weird start because obviously they bringing in a Mario reference there. So even then though, let's not get ahead of ourselves for this point just yet though, because we just barely got started with this game. So anyways, let's go ahead and go down and try to avoid as many enemies as we could, because is that supposed to be like a Krako? No wait, it was actually the one of those enemies from the Kirby games, which I'm not exactly sure what these names are because I totally forgot what the names are, because I know it's been such a long while since I actually played certain Kirby games for a while, so I do apologize if I sound a little bit budgiest when it comes to likely knowing names and such. So, and this is where we find the sword. Hoot, hoot. So you are the lad who owns the sword. Now I understand why the monsters are starting to act so violently. A courageous lad has come to wake the windfish. It is said that you cannot leave the island unless you wake the windfish. You should now go north to the mysterious forest. I will wait for you there. Hoot! Okay, so a bit of a weird owl talking for this point. So anyways though, let's get ourselves the sword, and now we can able to begin the game for reals. So because of that though, since we got ourselves the shield from the start, and also we've got the shield later of the sword during that time. So I do apologize if my commentary gets a little bit slightly iffy, and also I do apologize for that particular background noise you hear for about a few minutes ago, because I'm pretty sure that I would say Blue is having trouble just able to figure out the vacuum cleaner, so I do apologize for that sound effect right here. But at the very least, it's gone forever at this very point in time. So anyway, so now we're able to actually just deal with some combat involved. And if you ever played Zelda 1 before, and especially noticeable with The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, that you feel right at home when it comes to the forms of the combat and also the structure of the game itself. Once again, it's in top-down perspective, so because of that though, that's yeah, that's as far as I can say about it. But this time around though, it's on the Game Boy / Game Boy Color, although that if you're trying to able to purchase the DX version of the game, physical version either way, you stumble across the actual cartridge that's more accurately like a black cartridge, which means not only does it have a compatibility with the original Game Boy, but also Game Boy Color as well. So because of that though, if you feel right at home when it comes to likely, well, depending on what Game Boy you be playing, then, you know, you won't be having that much issues from here. Apart from the fact that missing colors from if you ever played the original Game Boy. Although if you ever played a game on a Game Boy Color, then you feel right at home when it comes to likely for its impressive visual department with all its colors and also the exclusive content, specifically in this game itself. So, anyways though, however though, you're still able to retain rupees, just like the forms of how it does it on the previous games. Like, you can still stumble across them from defeating enemy encounters and also just trying to cut down these bushes or discover some hidden secrets here and there, so you might as well able to expect for the Zelda game. However though, since this is on the Game Boy, this means we are going back to less button features than the forms of how it does it from, well, ever since in Zelda 1. Although before we get into that though, let's double check on this library right here, and we can able to actually look upon certain things, such as for instance, we can able to look upon the Koholint Island for that particular book. So if we most able to, well, know the place, and then if we have a look at this entire map, well, let's have a look right now. So as you can see, this entire place is quite huge, all things considered. But relatively speaking though, it's just the fact that you can able to see certain locations you want to go into. So as a result though, that might be seems the case. Especially noticeable that, well, as you see down this little marks right here, that actually says the exclamation mark in happening, or in some cases a question mark, that something will happen until eventually. So, anyways, let's not worry about this right about now, because, well, we're about to get started with our adventure. So it looks like those two kids are playing catching a ball to each other, like it's almost like a volleyball. Hey man, when you want to save the game, you have to push all the buttons at once. Oh, gee. In order to save the game in this game is the fact I'm pretty sure you're not able to press all of these buttons at the exact moment or something like that. Well, because unlike the forms of how it does it on the Switch remake, that you can able to actually have a save option as soon as you pause the game and stuff like that. So, yeah, it seems kind of weird able to have that system, so... But anyway, before we progress, we need to able to go in this little hole. So just like in A Link to the Past, there's going to be some secrets we can discover. So in this case, we have ourselves the returning items, such as the, of course, pieces of hearts. So once again, if you manage to able to retain 4 of them, you're able to actually once again obtain the heart container. So... And as far as for this playthrough is concerned, much like the forms of how it does it on Zelda 1, and especially noticeable with A Link to the Past, or should I call it Zelda 3, this is my 100% completion playthrough, so because of that though. But there's also some other collectibles that we might able to actually just to come across into, if we keep on cutting some more bushes and stuff like that. But what's this? You found a secret seashell. Okay. If you collect a lot of these, something good is about to happen. Alright, so we'll talk more about that secret seashell item until likely for later on. So as a result though, yeah, there's nothing we can do apart from the fact that we can able to... Well, as far as I'm aware, that we actually got quite enough of those rubies so far, for the sake of likely 10 rubies to be exact. So we can probably head over to that shopping building over there. So that way we can able to actually just to see something else in there. So because of that though... Oh, is this like a crane game? And what's this? It appears to be like a Yoshi? Huh. Interesting. So, yeah, in this crane game right here, basically, all you have to do is basically, we have to only use 2 buttons and that's it. So, the B button allows you to able to move the crane to the right, and then if you press the A button, it'll just move the crane downwards. So, however though, unlike any forms of how it does it on the Switch version, by the way, that the actual getting the items with the crane on the Game Boy version of the game is actually pretty easy, because as you can see, that we actually got ourselves the, I would classify it for saying this is a Yoshi doll or something like that, so let's obtain it right now. So in this case, we got the Yoshi doll. So, yeah, pretty cool. Seems he's pretty, yeah, appears in many games, since in Super Mario World, so, but I digress. So yeah, basically, for the sake of the forms of this game this time around though, I'm pretty sure it's likely, it kind of does the exact same thing sometimes for the likes of The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past sometimes, which means we have to do some fetch quests, trading, like item trading, which I'll talk more about that whenever we're able to continue proceeding for this. So as soon as we hit up here, then we actually stumble across Marin right here, so that she is now outside. So, and also we got that familiar bird thing. Hi, Terran went to the forest, look for Toadstool, but I'd rather sing. Listen to this. It's called the Ballad of the Windfish. Alright. I gotta say, I really love the actual 8-bit counterparts with that particular song, as you can probably hear. But, as a result though, then again, I will try to able to do the Switch version at some point next year, because of some of these comparisons I would like to compare. And, yeah, let's just, oh yeah, these things are way too heavy at this point, which I'll talk more about that, annoying notification for later. But anyways, let's go and meet in here and talk to this guy right here. So in this case though, we'll, I think this is more likely her. Oh, will you give that doll to my baby? Yes. Oh, thank you. You are indeed a generous person. Ah, I will give you this in return. So in this case, we got ourselves the ribbon. So because of that though, since this is going to be, like I said, some of these side quests like this is going to be involved around item trading. So in this case though, since we've traded the Yoshi doll to the baby, so in this case though, we've now actually received the ribbon. Now what can we do with the ribbon? Well, we can able to hit back and trying to head over to... Oh, actually, let's see what's in here. Here sleeps the flying rooster. Alright. Even though it kind of feels like a similar design as in A Link to the Past in Kakariko Village. But, anyways, let's not get ahead of ourselves for this point right about now, because, well, we just need to be able to do... I think we'll pretty much gonna have to do the beginning portions at first, so... Makeup, jewels, dresses, I want it all. And some new accessories would be nice. Oh, that ribbon? I need it. Will you trade for my dog food? Yeah, of course. Lucky, thanks. Well, here's your food. Or, to be more specifically though, we actually got ourselves, I would say, a canned food. So, yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning. So, I'm guessing that particular female dog, or the female chain chomp, becomes more accurately, like, similar to Rarity. Like, obviously, that just like Rarity, that she loves jewels and gems and stuff like that. And even some fashionable, things itself, I suppose. But I digress. So now we've actually got the canned food, so now we need to able to give it to someone else. So, oh, jeez. And, also, because this is on the Game Boy, this means we're able to actually have to do it the forms of less buttons compared to the forms of how it does it on A Link to the Past. Because normally, on the forms of A Link to the Past, you do able to actually access to, like, multitude of buttons, ranging from L and R, and also X and Y, and all that jazz. But for some reason, we're going back to limited buttons, so, yeah, that might be something worth noting for, so... Anyway, so let's go ahead and give him the canned food. So, yeah, would you, okay, so, what do you do? Just give it to him. Oh, thank you. I'll take that. With this one gulp of mouthful. Munch, munch. That was great. I know it's not a fair trade, but here's some bananas. So somehow we got one of the bananas, but as far as the forms of item trading, as far as progression goes, we're not going to be able to actually keep on doing item trading for a long while, because as a result though, we've only done 3 of them so far, but eventually you're able to get something that's very rewarding if you manage to do some continuous item trading. So because of that though, that's essentially what I was going to be doing. So anyway, let's just go ahead and go back up and stuff like that. So, because usually, unlike the Switch version of this particular game, basically though, you do have more buttons, thanks to the forms of the X and Y buttons is managed to able to include it. And there's also the actual way of how the fact that, there's actually kind of annoying thing that, if you manage to able to stumble across the actual rock, like you saw from about a few minutes ago, that this notification just keeps on popping up like nothing else, which we will discuss more about it until whenever we're proceeding for this. So for now, let's head in straight into the forms of the mysterious forest. So it could be very similar to Lost Woods from the likes of the Dark World from A Link to the Past, or to be more specifically, just, well, the forest itself. Hoot, hoot, brave lad, on your... Okay, so now what? Quest to wake the dreamer. Welcome to the mysterious woods. Much of mystery you will find on this enchanted Koholint Island. I'm afraid you may find it a truly difficult to leave the island while the windfish naps. By the by, have you ever visited the Tail Cave, which is south of the village? Go there with the key you find in this forest. The windfish is watching. Woot. Alright, thanks for pointing that out, but either way, let's just keep on exploring for this mysterious forest then. So, which I'm guessing this place is going to be filled to the brim with a lot of tough enemies here and there, but, at least it's not too bad for what I've able to deal with them. So in this case though, sometimes though you might able to come across into ourselves some temporary power-ups. Like for instance, we got ourselves the Piece of Power, which basically allows you to able to increase your attack power. But there's also another item called the Guardian Acorn, which we'll bump into that at some point. That basically allows you to able to actually boost up your defense. So, and then if you come across into that any kind of like temporarily power-ups, then obviously you hear this particular music in the background. I think it actually loops though, so I think the actual power-up music can get a bit irritating, but at least thankfully since we actually leave the entering this particular cave, so this means that the music is not continuously playing anymore until God knows. So anyway, let's go ahead and take down these crystals and shove this rock, and we got ourselves the 50 rupees from that treasure chest. So that's all for that. So of course, like in any other Zelda games, in order to able to actually just get some more items to your disposal, and especially noticeable for some more item trading, basically once again we need to grind as many of those rupees as we could. So pretty standard stuff for the most part, especially noticeable if you ever played, you know, the first The Legend of Zelda, and also The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past, so you might as well feel right at home. So, whilst unlike in Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, that for some reason the rupees has been absent. Oh, what's this? We got ourselves the toadstool. So, we can able to actually hold that for a while, until whenever we able to discover something that's very important. So, anyways, I think we should probably just hit back and... oh, jeez, I think I blocked myself. Yep, I think I somehow blocked myself. Yeah, much like the forms of how it does it on Zelda 1, and especially noticeable in Zelda 3, or A Link to the Past, basically you can only move one rock. So, yeah, that's a bit inconsistent sometimes, but at least it doesn't bother me too much about it though, because after all, that I've already... the first time I actually experienced this game was actually whenever I managed to look up on Checker Convoy playthrough of the game, or to be more specifically his playthrough of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. But unfortunately I didn't get a chance to able to watch it though, mainly because, well, back in the forms of 2012 or the beginning of 2013, I was a bit drabbed when it comes to feelings and stuff like that, but the more I watched it, I enjoyed it. So as a result though, it wasn't until whenever I managed able to recently got the game, not on the actual physical version mind you, because it was pretty expensive and hard to find, but also I managed to got the game by the forms of the 3DS eShop download version, which, what I've played is actually quite fun, but it does have some bit of issues from this, which I'll discuss more about it until whenever we able to continue proceeding for this game, basically. So, but I digress. So it's a good thing I did manage to able to got the 3DS eShop version of this game, so that way it costs a bit cheaper compared to the forms of how it does it on the original expensive cartridge-only version. So because of that, unless if you manage to try to find it luckily enough on the CEX or something like that, but anyways, let's talk to this little witch right here, so that we can able to give her something. Double double, toil and trouble. A toadstool mix makes powder for tricks. But since we got ourselves the toadstool with us, so that way we can able to give the toadstool to her. Ah, it has the sleepy toadstool. It does. We mix it up, something in a jiffy wooey. So once again, it gives us a bit of a stir. It's all ready. It is. Take care there, as there's not much there. Why not try a bit in my hut? So we got ourselves the magic powder, much like the forms of how it does it on A Link to the Past. Basically though, you can once again manage to able to use this on certain situations. Like for instance, we've lit up the actual hut. So in this case though, is the fact that we're able to actually light up the actual room itself. So, but you can also just deal with certain enemy encounters as well. But I don't think I can probably deal with that, I'm afraid. Mainly because, well, I never actually used magic powder as much as the forms of the other items. Because, well, I'm sure I'll explain more about it whenever we continue proceeding for this game. So, there's a piece of heart right there, but we do need something in order to able to get there. But, hopefully though, we will come across into one eventually, so please do not worry. So, I digress. So yeah, the way you can able to switch between those different items in this game this time around though is the fact that, well, you're still able to actually just keep on switching between those different items and stuff like that, much like the forms of how it does on the previous Zelda games, but with less buttons to work with. This means that you have to able to do a lot of constant switching items a lot, especially noticeable in this game's case, because unfortunately though, it's the fact that with the sword as well as the shield that I managed to equip, for both A and B buttons, these two items are now becomes likely as swappable items. So because of that though, unlike in other traditional Zelda games, that you get yourselves the actual shield and the sword as your permanent items, so this means you don't need to switch between them. Whilst in this game in particular though, is the fact that you get have to constantly need to do some continuous item switching, so that seems kind of annoying if you ask me. But thankfully, on the Switch remake though, they did manage to fix a lot of problems, so... Oh jeez, I just realized that we ended up getting lost. Although, mind you, that since we got ourselves the magic powder in our hands, and somehow we ended up back into the forms of that very, well, the Great Fairy spot, but oh, I just realized I got myself the actual Guardian Acorn equipped, so... Anyway, so let's go ahead and switch over to magic powder on the B button, and we can use that at that raccoon, and that way, it just somehow spins around. Oh jeez, what's he doing? Oh! At last thing I can remember was bitten into a big juicy toad store. Then I had a dumbest dream. I was a raccoon. Yeah. Sounds strange, but it sure was fun. Okay, I have no idea why I just pointed that out. But anyways, let's continue forward, and we stumbled across the treasure, which actually contains the tail key. So now we've actually got the first, I would classify for saying a dungeon key of any sorts. Hoot. Take the key and go to the tail cave. Retrieve the instrument that is hidden there. Go now. The windfish is waiting. Hoot. Alright, I'll try to find out for myself. So, I digress. Oh yeah, today's date is of course the 1st of September, by the way. In this case in 2022 today, according to this uploading schedule in mind. That, obviously, that we now on to the 9th month of this entirety of 2022 year so far. So as a result though, also I just want to classify for something as well. That, I know it has been such a long while since I actually did manage to done a lot of my commentaries recently, because, well, aside from the fact that, well, you know it's about the fact that ever since about, yesterday, that we've managed to able to conclude, the Mega Man Marathon 2, which is obviously tackling for the handheld Mega Man games, including honorable mentions like, you know, Rockman and Forte sequel on the Bandai WonderSwan, and also not to mention though, Mega Man on the Game Gear, and of course Mega Man The Wily Wars for the Mega Drive. So that might be something worth knowing for if you want to check those out. So before we head over to the Tail Cave, we need to take care of the forms of another one of those games we can able to interact, which appears to be fishing, which I'm pretty sure it's one of the first ever Zelda games to able to feature fishing as one of those you know, games to encounter. But honestly though, I'm not exactly a huge fishing fanatic, I must admit though. But thankfully in this particular game, fishing in this game is actually super duper easy, because you can just simply just mash the A or B buttons, so that way you can able to reel in the fish very quickly and fast. Although that I have a lot of horror stories whenever we get into the forms of The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass for the DS. Oh god, you may see nothing yet, especially noticeable where they contains the most important item for your disposal if you decide to able to go for the 100% completion, and oh boy, it is a nightmare. But we'll get to more about that until we decide to do Zelda Phantom Hourglass Let's Play, I mean believe me. So, anyway, so let's go ahead and get that fish here, so that way we were able to get some rupees back. Oh, and by the way, in order to able to do some fishing, you must able to actually pay, I would say 10 rupees. I'm presuming so. Yeah, it was 10 rupees. But the one I need to aim for is that big fish down below. So as a result though, if you somehow manage to obtain the big fish down there, basically it will give me something that is very rewarding, and also it should be worth it. But usually, relatively speaking, if you manage to let one get away, this means about the fact that there is another way you could, well, assuming if you're able to actually grind as many of those rupees as you could. So it seems kind of weird. This is the last fish I'm going to be aiming for. Well, despite the fact that I'm not usually quite an expert when it comes to fishing in general. So yeah, forgive me if I somehow managed able to become useless at fishing, especially after playing Sonic Adventure on multiple versions of the game, that I'm somehow not a big fan of big fishing. So anyways, come here, fishy fishy, come on, need you. Oh my god, this can take a while. I do apologize. Come on. Come on. Oh, just almost there. Oh, any minute now. Come on. Hurry up. Okay, there we go. Alright, now he bites and keep mashing the button, and booyah! There we go, we got the big one, and that means we get ourselves another piece of heart. So, and also on top of all that stuff, we also got 20 rupees as well. Kudos to that. But however though, unlike the Switch remake, they did manage to expand upon the fishing stuff a lot, for the sake of the forms that added in some more items, including bottles. So, unfortunately though, for the bottles in this game, specifically Link's Awakening on the Game Boy, bottles is nowhere to be found, which, oh man, I really do miss those. Especially noticeable after playing A Link to the Past, like I've always seemed to more accustomed to. So, anyway, so let's go ahead and continue proceeding for this point, and hopefully we'll try to find the first, I would classify for saying the first dungeon in the game, which appears to be Tail Cave. So hopefully we'll try to find that. I think it's actually pretty simple to find, as long as we're able to actually go on the right track. So yeah, we'll just gonna have to dish out as many of those enemies as we could first. And I think this is the way we could able to... I think this is the way. Oh, well, look at that. We've made it all the way there already. And we insert the key, and that will open up the first dungeon in the game. So, yeah, I guess suffice to say, I think we should probably end things off here. So join me next time on more of Let's Play of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX. It's the fact that we're about to get started with the first dungeon in the game, known as Tail Cave. So it should be a bit easy and simple and self-explanatory. So yeah, we'll save that until the next day. So I'll see you guys then.